Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here with Jason again, and he's came on today to talk about gang stalking, organized stalking, vigilantism, whatever you want to call it, the domestic surveillance program, whatever you want to call it, is real, and it's a very important aspect of this, and he's going to be explaining this today. I'm going to read out of Isaiah 58. God's been putting it on my heart to read this to y'all because people think fasting is just going without food, but This is fixing to explain what fasting is. So please lend me your ear just for a second. Isaiah 58:6. Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen, to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and provide the poor wanderer with shelter when you see the naked, to clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood? Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and he will say, Here I am. And that's just you can. There's more to that verse if you keep going, but that was just thing. So Jason, I'm gonna turn it over to you, and you just start the discussion, and I'll ask questions as we go.
All right, yeah. So first I have to say that it doesn't matter if someone believes this or not in the community. The fact is that these people that are doing this kind of thing, they know what's going on and they know what they're doing. And yes, there's a psychological aspect to it. Of course, it instills fear, it instills all kinds of stuff that we all talked about, but people haven't talked about the fact that what they do as far as certain things. So let me see. Kind of hard to explain because since you have that issue with YouTube. But so we know all the systems that are out there, right? Utilities and stuff like that, right? You know what I'm talking about? Like all the utilities. You don't want me to say certain
Oh
things.
yeah.
Okay, so we have all the utilities, right? And we have personal items like cell phones and stuff like that, and um, they're all utilized in a certain way. There's three phases to this system that I've had issues with. One is that heating sensation that you get, right? For when you get that heating sensation, that's basically mapping out whatever desired area of your body that they want to locate. So you'll feel that heating sensation like a burning sensation, right? And um, so once that goes, you will, well, no, that's not it. I'm sorry about that. That's not it. First, they pinpoint something, right? They'll pinpoint something and it will make it vibrate, right? It'll be louder than any area of your body. And then the heating sensation will kind of map things out. And then you'll have this vibrational feeling, which actually routes the stuff to the area they want. So trying to be, I sound
You can
very
say wireless body area network.
I can. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a way to map your body out by that wireless body network, right, or medical body network. And I have to give credit to that lady Sabrina. Um, I don't agree with everything that she says, but I do know that the community, medical community, and all those things, they're aware of this system, regardless of people and the citizens are or not, and they utilize it very much so. And these gang stalkers, they utilize this stuff too, which kind of baffles me because this is a weapon that's being used on us, right? And so they will pinpoint a location on your body, an entry point, I should say. And once they get that entry point, then you'll feel a heating sensation, and that heating sensation maps out your routing of your body. Or like say they can't get you because you may have some shielding or whatever like that. That heating sensation will cause them to be able to redo whatever they're doing, and then they will proceed with whatever desired location they want. Say it's your heart, say it's your head or your foot. It doesn't matter what it is. It's whatever they desire to hit. And then once they do that, you'll feel a vibrational feeling and that electrical shock kind of feeling. And that's what that part is. And I actually hold on a second. I'm feeling like I'm kind of apprehensive to say certain words because of the situation. So it's really hard for me to articulate this.
Well, as long as it's not basically like medical terms, you know.
Okay,
You
well,
can say 5G. You can say uh, brain to computer interface. You can talk about all, just not medical terms, or the main thing you can't talk about. Look,
Yeah. No. So
so that's basically what I'm talking about.
okay. So I can say drone and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Just not
So
that C word we talked about.
yeah. So 5G, Wi-Fi, Li-Fi, uh, drones, all that stuff plays a part in this. Gang stalking is basically like a utility used for them to do what they do. Say you're in a rural location, right, and you don't have very many people coming around, stuff like that. Yes, this weapon will work, but it will be minimal, and they'll have to use more because this thing is long range anyway. The weapon is long range. It's a big deal weapon. It's not like some small deal. And all these little things that I talk about, like the Wi-Fi, the 5G, all that stuff, that is just a part of it. The grid, all that stuff, is just a part of it. But the role of gang stalkers is to keep you connected. It's not just to psychologically mess with you. It's to keep you connected. Right?
Through reactions.
No, not reactions. There is reactions to it too. I'll get to that too. So let me tell you this. You've heard like the DNA frequency stuff, right? Uh, they can uh, they can access you through your DNA frequency, right?
Yeah.
And these gang stalkers use that. So they will take like a clump of hair, right, and they'll place it in a area. So say you get break-ins and stuff like that. They don't just spread stuff around like chemical stuff. They'll actually put their own DNA in your environment because they'll be able to pinpoint that. And say they can't get you personally, right? They'll pinpoint that DNA frequency, and that DNA frequency will accelerate, and it will actually cause more harm to you, right? But they pinpoint you all the time, and that's what these gang stalkers do. They use their cell phones, they use their own personal DNA, they'll use their nail clippings, they'll use their hair, they'll use unimaginable stuff that you could not imagine. And if you look in your environment, you will see a pattern in your environment. I've been playing this game with them for a very long time, and they're not. I'm having issues with being patient, not being upset, and not being retaliatory, right? Because they're really meaning harm to me. They're not just psychologically messing with me; they're meaning harm to me. The extent of that harm, I can't be totally clear. But as far as what they have been targeting me, they have been targeting my heart, right? But they don't. I mean, they have a pathway to my heart, but they also utilizes different parts of my body to get to that point too. And they've had it so that I had this surge of electricity. I can just run it through, and it just runs through like a wiring, just runs through, right? But the noise campaign, I got to clarify this. The noise campaign is not psychological only. It is used to accelerate this weapon. It accelerates it. It doesn't just it carry the weapon is a carrier. And these things that they do accelerates it. So if you hear a car revving up or you hear bass coming, that accelerates it. And if you actually are sensitized to it like I am, I can feel it individually, right? I can feel the when the car revs up, I can feel what it does in my body. I can feel when a bass hits. And see, the thing is it not only does that to you, it does that to things in your environment. So every single thing that we have in our environment can be used. And it sounds kind of odd, but what it does is and I don't know the scientific terms and I don't know all the stuff because I don't have the expertise. All I can tell you is the utility and what I've experienced. So say you have a bottle of water, right? And and they will change that. They will hit that and it will vibrate to the point where like kind of changes the molecular structure of it. And so instead of it drawing in whatever's bothering you and kind of giving you some sort of like grounding or shielding, what it does is it'll change the molecular structure of it to the point where it'll actually draw it towards you, right? And so they'll make your whole environment to be some sort of like antenna or some sort of way of bringing things into you, right? And to figure out how to prevent that has been a very big struggle because I'm gonna tell you that I have been doing a lot of experiments throughout this whole time, and I didn't ever equate the gang stalking to being a part of this weapon because I thought that it was psychological, like most everyone else had spoken about that it was psychological, and that they're really just trying to instill fear or try to cause some psychological problem. But the fact is that um, as soon as I figured out how to properly block this, then my gang stalking became so apparent and so utilized. And I came to find out that it's because if they can't get you without gang stalking being prevalent, they'll start utilizing gang stalking so that they can continue to accelerate this weapon because individuals will place things that doesn't seem very um, important or benign. Say my room, right? I'm in a room. I have roommates all over. The bathroom is on my behind me right here, right? And then the another spare room is right there. And so it looks normal. They put a broomstick or something like that over on that side, and it doesn't seem to be that important. But the thing is like you can't take anything for granted because they love to put like empty packages of Amazon packages like here in this closet right here, right? Oh, they put a lot of crap in there. And honestly, though, that doesn't look very suspicious, and it actually shouldn't look suspicious if it wasn't doing something. But what it does is that uh, it accelerates everything. So if they can't get through to you by normal means, they'll add stuff up. Like they'll put just normal stuff, tires, cars. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just to accelerate something because whatever this is a carrier, and they utilize everything in your environment to get to you to some point or another. But noise campaigns is to accelerate people walking by to you. Either that is through their DNA frequency that they're doing that to you or their cell phone. And I know that they have something on their cell phone that is an app or something like that that actually allows them to pinpoint you, right? Pinpoint that area in your body that I'm talking about because they ping you with a pinpoint of the location of whatever desire they want. Then they map you and then they route you. And once they route you, then it gets to whatever desired area they want. And they will continuously go by. And it's like a it's like kind of like tag, right? They'll go by and you'll feel this prick on you, right, or hit, um, and then all of a sudden that whole area will vibrate. And once that starts to vibrate, then that heating sensation will come. And after that heating sensation will come, and I've had this experience where it was like chilling cold feeling, where there's like water, like cold water running through me, and then they'll start routing throughout your body about this stuff. But the flyovers, everything that they do is a utility. There's nothing that they do that's just strictly psychological, and there has to be some sort of mind control aspect to everything too. And I'm not going to refute that. But to say that it's just neurological, that they only access you by your brain and it's Havana syndrome and all that stuff, no, they have the ability to access any part of your body, from your toe to your fingers to your hands to your wrist, and uh, and they do that aerosol stuff, right? That aerosol stuff, it just accelerates it too, and it covers you. The people get gas or whatever. So what it does is it kind of like um, um say you wash or take a shower, they love to spray that shit after you take a shower because because it will just cover you and saturate you back onto whatever they need. Because what they do is they try to single out something. They single out something and they and say that you cleaned yourself, you got everything going, and you're good. They'll that's when they will start putting like hair follicles around you. They'll put like nail clippings around you, and you think it's so benign. Like you don't think that this is going to be a matter of an issue or whatever, because most people like myself would never think about that. But I'm telling you, like you remove that from there, and you'll feel a difference for a little temporary moment, and then they'll reroute it again. But they'll constantly drive by to do stuff, and like they will hit. I mean, it's just ridiculous about how much they do. But you know, see people are looking for weapons like a backpack, or they're looking for some sort of device that they might have. The only device they really need is themselves and the phone that they have on their hand. That's it. That's all they need. And then this long range weapon that happens that goes through is is the big part of it. And then they use everything else. And so um yeah, And my stuff has gotten so bad that it's really hard for me to focus. It's hard for me to do a lot of stuff. And this is probably the first time I've actually had my phone facing me like this. But like you'll hear like the like when the leaf blowers, right, or lawn mowing or whatever it is. And I'm not saying that everyone is mowing the lawn or doing leaf blowing as a part of this or is accelerating this stuff, but they use sound very much so. They use sound. You can look on your phone, right? Look on your phone. You will look at your apps. You'll find that some of these apps will not allow you to remove the notifications on your phone, right? You won't be able to remove your notifications on your phone because the more notifications you have on your phone, the more stuff will come after you, right? Because every notification that you get on your phone is basically radiation coming to your phone all the time. Do you hear the sirens?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
him. We got,
yeah. They do this quite a bit with me. I don't even know what these people do, these service people do, because it seems like to me they just play a game. Like they're not going
you
anywhere.
can hear it plainly.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. They're doing this because of what I'm saying right now. Is because of all this noise that I'm talking about. The noise campaign accelerates this weapon. It causes more harm to you. And see, that's why my problem is with this whole thing, and that's why I've been kind of getting like high strung and a little bit more combative because at first, when you think it's just psychological, it's not that big of a deal. But once you realize that what they're doing is weaponizing whatever system is there to harm you more, it becomes more personal. For me, it becomes more personal because these guys, I don't, I go around playing pretend with these people. And do you hear this? I go around
Yeah,
playing pretend with these people. They act like they don't confront you. They don't act all aggressive with you, right? But they're all doing something harmful. I've got this woman over here in one room that and see, I'm so sensitized that I literally will lean forward or back depending on what motion or what severity of the wave that's coming towards me is occurring. And but they do use their DNA because I've seen like clumpets of hair placed in a strategic place. It's not just placed this abnormally. It's not just placed like just randomly. It's and who the hell leaves a clump of hair on a yard or a clump of hair just everywhere you can possibly imagine? It's because it's used. It's a When I was at the hospital, I noticed hair in my bed. Every time I leave to go eat or whatever, I'll come back and there'd be like some gross hair on there or whatever. And I remember when I got put in jail one time, they had crap, like poop all around the wall. I was thinking, this is gross, right? That's all I was thinking. But what I did not know is that they use this. They don't it's not just randomly put there. It's not some kind of weird freaking fetish that they have. They just put stuff all around your environment to accelerate this weapon. So when they do the noise campaigns, that is accelerating it. When they do when they drive by, they're trying to pinpoint you. They're trying to accelerate it by the noise. It doesn't matter what they're doing with it. They're still doing something. There's a utility to all this. And so those that think that it's just neurological, you are correct that it has a neurological aspect because um, sometimes if they can't pinpoint me because I've done something right, they'll do this little chirping noise, right? And it's not a bird. It's not a bird because the cadence of that chirping doesn't sound natural. And I believe it's because they're trying to get me to hear that noise so that they can re calibrate whatever they need to do to get back to wherever they need to be for whatever desired location they have for me. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, they've used everything that I possibly anybody that's ever complained about any of this stuff that's been going on, they've been using for me. I mean, ever since November, ever since I got video evidence of my neighbor breaking into my house, once I took pictures of the proper placements of all this stuff, because they'll place innocuous stuff, like they'll bunch up a bunch of screws in one area, but if you actually take a broader look at it and you observe it, you will see a pattern that is actually placed there purposely. Because I mean, I do believe that if you were in an environment that wasn't tampered with and you didn't have a group of people around and you didn't have people to be able to accelerate this, you would probably be able to minimize it to the point where it's tolerable. And Andrew probably has some point, like if that EMP thing works on you, it will work on you for a while, but you would have to do it continuously because if they don't get their desired effect, they will bombard you because it's not just our body that they're doing this to. I mean, everything you consume, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be organic, it could be processed, it doesn't matter. It's used, and your stuff that you take for granted that seems like it wouldn't affect you is actually used as well. But the drones, I don't know if you could see them during the day, maybe not, but during the night you could see a whole bunch. I've had like 20 of them at one time. Um, and of course, the 5G is utilized. I've actually had three 5G places blow out before, and that's when the gang stalking actually started becoming really bad. But that's because the gang stalking is used as a weapon of this, and they use it to locate you, to accelerate, and just to continue this sort of torture or whatever they're doing right now. Because but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I probably haven't expressed because some of the stuff I don't want to talk about on YouTube or anything like that. Partly is because there's some things I do that they may not be aware of, and I don't want to give that away because of how severe stuff has gotten with me. Yeah. What?
I started doing the raising the hand thing because people said, "Oh, you're interrupting." So
Yeah.
there has to be something to it because I unplugged my phone for 30 days,
Mm.
battery out. This is back in 2018 when you can do that. I hopped on a train in Atlanta, went to sleep, woke up in Shreveport, and within 5 minutes, my phone was not hooked up. Within 5 minutes, they were on to me. Another thing I seen the other day, these inmates escaped from New Orleans, and you know what they did? They put their they put their faces in facial recognition in the computer
Mm.
system, and the computer
Yeah.
system searched all over the city for them. They've done caught 3 people that way. So I think once they get your facial recognition, I think they got all kinds of different ways to do this. But I definitely think you're right. It's not just psychological at all. I really think that they're creating a digital twin. I know that you have some controversy with that, but that's
Oh,
my opinion. But I
I
definitely
don't.
think you're right. It's not. It's way more than psychological with the stalking
Well,
and the
no,
noise
I'm not
campaigns.
gonna dispute the digital twin because the thing is that however they access my body, it had to have some sort of representation of me, right? It would not just be able to. I mean, I don't know, right? Because I know that a lot of this stuff is sound. I mean, when the flyovers come, what they do is whatever is pinging the most, whatever is vibrating the most, that's what they'll hit. And then and it's like a bomb, they'll hit you, and then boom, you have this rapid vibration, and then all of a sudden, all this nonsense will start coming at you, and they just use they. I mean, what's sad to me is that everything that we have been accustomed to for our convenience, for our entertainment, for just daily use, can has been turned around to harm people, and it's frustrating because these people that do this, um, they there has to be some mind control aspect to it because some of this stuff is not in their self interest. Because regardless if they physically feel this stuff, they are one since they are using their own DNA, and I've seen this with a professional person because I could see the waves and see that's one I could see waves, right? And there's things that I know that if I told you, you would not be able to have this video on YouTube because what I've witnessed, you would not. They would shut this down real quick because what I'm telling you, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not here to debate, and people can say whatever they want. I'm not trying to be stubborn. I'm just trying to help. That this gang stalking stuff is not just psychological, and it's not strictly mind control either. Because if that was the case, then they wouldn't be doing certain things that they've been doing with people, right? Because everyone wants to agree that this is a slow kill, right? Everyone wants to say that they're not really wanting to delete people. But the fact of the matter is that 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 the objective there's probably a lots of the objectives. If they can't mind control you, they're going to end life or end whatever you want to call it, and alive, unalive, whatever you. But since they use their own DNA, their own follicles, their own nail clippings and stuff like that, that stuff that they are victimizing us with is literally going through them. Is literally going through them. And just because they don't physically feel it does not necessarily mean that it doesn't have health risks or that it doesn't have any kind of like long-term effects on them. Because at the place I was before, before I had a blowout and I almost tripped out on a neighbor. Well, I did trip out on the neighbor. If I could have got to him, probably would have got him. But uh, the grass was on one side was dead, right? And two of the people that lived in that apartment, one started developing a severe heart condition. The other one had, I certainly don't have no concern about them, is that every individual in this freaking place, all my roommates, if I wanted to light up and wanted to do something, none of them would be able to defend themselves. None of them. They would not be capable enough to prevent anything that I desired to do to them, right? So they don't have no desire or care for these people because they know if they know people's history, they know damn well that you push me too far, I will do something, right? And it's not like I'm not capable because I'm very capable of doing something. But the grace of
But
God.
that's not the answer. That's what they want, Jason.
No, no, no. Well, no. You know what? I don't know what they want because, yes, it would not serve me well to do something like that. You're absolutely right. Not serve me well whatsoever to do something violent because since this whole system is corrupt, we obviously cannot go to certain places that normally help people, that have sworn an oath to serve and protect. We can't go to those places because they are definitely complicit and a part of this. Every emergency staff, every emergency personnel in my environment is complicit to this. And they're actually, you already heard the sirens, right? They're already, they're more than complicit. They're a part of it. And the thing is that what is concerning though is that what do these people do or what do they think? Because I do believe they get a monetary uh, reward for this, and I don't necessarily believe it has to just do with smear campaigns or defacing your name because evil doesn't have to have a reason to be evil. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, see, one thing they're doing is they're putting you in the emergency system as a dangerous person, and they're trying to provoke you to be a dangerous person to make it look like you really are. You see?
So yeah, no, no, no. So yeah. Well, let me clarify this. I know that any action that would have a consequence of jail would not end well with me. I would not be able to get a free a a fair trial because obviously they weaponize mental health. The thing is that this is a long game. They have been working on this for a long time, and they really try to weaponize mental health with me. But the fact of the matter is that they're they're only weaponizing it. It's not like I actually have any sort of condition that would actually warrant for them to actually be that way. But so yeah, they have all aspects locked in. So there isn't much recourse, but there isn't really any legal recourse either because I don't know if there's going to be lawfare that's going to actually benefit people because what I know is that everything has something to do with this. And which is weird and it sounds paranoia, sounds kind of far fetched, even for people that are in the community, because everyone has a little piece here and there, right? And they all have little nuggets. Like that lady Sabrina, she said that, the W band and the medical community are aware of this and they utilize this system, right? But then she goes on a tangent about Michael, the Archangel Michael talking to her, or the biofield and all that stuff. And I'm not, uh, I don't want to dismiss people's beliefs, but that's her beliefs. That's not her concrete evidence that she can actually verify that is actually true, right? Um, the justice place, right? Uh, I believe like there's utility for them to like. So when the lawyer lady she talks about your rights and what to do, that's very beneficial to us, right? But the other guy, the light guy, him telling you that it's exclusively only satellite, it's exclusively only certain things, is incorrect because he made a comment about semi trucks and a certain system in that semi truck, saying that that can't be the case. But no, yes, it can. I've had numerous semi trucks. I had no idea what the hell those were for or what the purpose was. Of course, I thought it was psychological, but I never thought it would be utilized as a weapon. And I do believe people need to stop gaslighting people. People need to stop trying to be so biased about what they believe and what they've researched online. Because I'm telling you, the algorithm, if you're online, it's always compromised. If you're a TI, it's always compromised. Even if you're not a TI, it's compromised because they have it so that the algorithm will influence you. And I have to tell you this is that that one person that talks about using there is nothing you can block if you use electronics. You're not going to be able to use your computer to stop all this. You may be able to stop a little bit, but from what I'm aware of, is that they will wallpaper your electronics. So they'll have an artificial wallpaper, right? And so you'll be pushing on an app, thinking that app um, is native to your phone, but really it's not. It's actually their app. And when you push that, they have full control over whatever access you have. They wallpaper your phone, and what you'll do is you'll be pushing this stuff on your phone, and you think that it's native to your phone, but really it's not. They're controlling it themselves. So if you're saying that you're going to use electronics to block this, I'm sorry, but you're probably not correct. You may have some idea of what the frequencies are. You may have a good knowledge about all that stuff and the sounds and all that stuff, but you can't verify or actually promise something if you have electronics and you're utilizing that to prevent the system to happen because they can compromise any electronics. It doesn't matter if it's keychain. It doesn't matter if it is Wi-Fi, if it is online, it can be compromised. It doesn't matter. I have a Linux device that had Pegasus on it, like literally had Pegasus on it. And it doesn't matter if your phone is turned off or on. They will prevent it from sleeping. They'll prevent it from turning on. If you have an Android phone, it's so simple just to look at your apps. You don't have to be an expert in electronics or cybersecurity to actually know these things. You just look at your apps and look in the details of the permissions. Look at how many of your apps won't allow you to remove notifications. Ask yourself, why can't I remove notifications? That's because this thing is a sound component. There's light, there's sound. It's all frequencies. Like I do believe that one of the reasons, the one how they get you is through infrared, right? And and I think that infrared is not necessarily the weapon, but it's like a targeting part, right? But they utilize everything to the extent that it you have to. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I've survived since November, and I've done all kinds of things, but none of this stuff that I've done has anything to do with my capabilities, my intelligence, who I am as a person, or how I analyze things. All it is, and I encourage every single, I don't care if you're mad at God or if you're not mad at God, believe me, He's the only person, He is the only one that's going to get you through this no matter what.
Amen.
We're not promised tomorrow, right? And I definitely don't feel like tomorrow is ever looking good for me because of how severe this is. And I had to talk about the gang stalking because it's not everything that you can think of. Let's put it this way: everything you can think of what they do, it doesn't matter. You cannot exclude certain things like maybe street theater and some of the psychological stuff that they do, maybe coming up and threatening you. But everything else they do, the noise campaigns, the drive-bys, the drones, the flyovers, all that stuff is to accelerate this weapon, either to pinpoint you or to map you and to route you. And that's what they do. And they use DNA, they use their phones, they use the environment around you, and it doesn't matter. You if you do not know about this stuff, you will never be able to defend yourself. And if you want to object to what I'm saying, and if you want to keep on thinking that what you've read online is completely true and it hasn't uh, corrupted maybe some of your views or maybe limited to you to look outside the box, you have to understand that the best thing you could do is sometimes accept that you're wrong. And even me telling you this right now, there's probably aspects of this that I'm still not aware of. And I've gone through little steps here and there because I used to believe a lot of stuff that everyone has said. And I used to believe what I was reading online until my experience told me different. And then I was like, okay, so what is this? And you have to ask yourself questions all the time, all the time. Like, what is this? Why is this? What is this doing? How is this? And it doesn't matter how small or big it is, you have to ask questions. But seriously, though, the thing is that you have a relationship with God. not because you fear for stuff, but really at the, you may not experience the peace, or I mean, you might experience peace because he gives you peace with the, what is it, peace um, that's beyond understanding, right? Because even though you're going through this traumatic thing, even though your body may hurt and you are anxiety ridden or whatever the case may be, he will give you some sort of peace with certain things with this stuff. But um, there's a lot of information that I probably haven't articulated to the degree I want. But I feel that since it's a platform like YouTube, I don't believe I can say everything in detail without you being flagged or without the video not being um, um, shown. Because Andrew, when he talks about the nano stuff and all that stuff, I do believe that there is that aspect to it, and it's flowing through your brains. I'm telling you right now, it's flowing through your veins. So we can do that stuff, and I'm not discouraging anybody from doing that EMP thing because I'm curious to know if that actually will benefit you. But it's flowing through your veins, and that's no doubt about it. Like this is not just some sort of RFID chip in your body because it's flowing through your veins. Because one, we've consumed this for such a long time, regardless if you intentionally did it or not, because it's in our environment. It's in the stuff that we eat, it's the stuff that we drink. Um, it's in everything that we possibly can imagine. And what I do is I just kind of like outweigh the good and the bad. Go ahead.
I definitely think you're right. And if you go back to my it's a video called "A Real Documented Case of Targeting" from the 60s and 70s. Exactly what Jason said happened in the UFO community. What they did was this dude named, I forgot his name. I think it's Ray Kurzweil, but don't quote me on that. That may be a different dude. He was working with radio, and he intercepted this broadcast, and heard these aliens talking about taking over the world. Well, it was all a setup, and see, he intercepted a broadcast he wasn't supposed to intercept, and this is not the alien broadcast. So he contacted the Air Force, and so they manipulated him the whole time, and had him going back to the UFO truther community with disinformation the whole time, and was feeding it to him through V2K like stuff, putting sounds in his head. Anyway, he ended up in the mental hospital, and he was I wish I knew the story better. It's the called documented case of targeting from the 60s and 70s. He was a TI. But if you watch that video, you'll see how Jason's saying everybody's got a little piece of the truth. And I said it yesterday on my video. I really think all of us could be wrong. Every single one, because I think technology is 30 years more than what they tell us. Because if they, it's if U.S. has technology, they don't want China to know. They have to keep everything secret. So, you may have a whistleblower come here, whistleblower there, but like he said, it's all spread out. And I just think we all got pieces of the puzzle. Just like yesterday, that comment about the megaphone, I debunked it yesterday. Acoustics does not work like that. And you can put a megaphone to your mouth or your ears, and it's going to go off automatically just by the sound vibrations and the physics of it. And if you'd like to hear the physics of it, I explained it yesterday. But what if we're all wrong, Jason? We might be all wrong, but the DNA part is right. Yeah, absolutely right. And I know this because I had my phone off for 30
Uh-huh,
days and took
uh-huh,
a train from Atlanta to Louisiana, and they
yeah.
still was there. DNA is absolutely. I really believe you're right on that.
Well,
Dead.
yeah, because everyone has given access to their DNA either through blood, when they get their blood drawn, a urine test, or swabs, whatever it is, they've already given access to people their DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And see, the thing is, I don't know, like I don't know the technology. I'm not going to give you names of what stuff is. All I can tell you is the utility of it. So I don't believe I'm wrong about what I'm saying about the three stages: pinpointing, routing, and then proceeding with that route, or mapping you and then proceeding with that route. And the neurological, see, I'm open to say that the neurological aspect of it, like, so let's say this, we're going to talk about the V2K for a second and stuff like that. V2K is separate from what I'm talking about. V2K is its own thing. I know that people suffer from V2K, and I need to people urge this: those that have overt V2K that has separate, distinct voices that always bombard you, you have to understand that that's not the only part of that V2K. Your own inner dialogue can be part of that V2K. So if you are finding yourself combating a situation or making a decision and you find it overwhelming because your inner dialogue keeps on messing with you, you gotta kind of question that, because sometimes they will have your inner dialogue do stuff to really mess you up, right? You might think that it's your own decision making, but you have to understand that just because you have that overt V2K, that inner dialogue that somebody saying like this can't be true or maybe this is not true, you have to question that, because the thing is that that also can be part of V2K. The V2K is different. So when everyone tells me that the system can be done by itself, no gang stalking has to be involved and all that stuff, because V2K exists. Yes, yes. You were in that swamp, right? You said your V2K was really bad, but did you have direct energy stuff going on with you then? I can't hear you.
Sorry, gang stalking went on long before V2K ever started. Matter of fact, about 3 years before direct energy weapons or anything started, it was noise campaigns,
Uh,
sabotage, blacklisted smear campaigns, and stalking. Heavy.
yeah. So though, when you're in that swamp, you had V2K, right?
Yes.
But did you have direct energy?
Uh-uh.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what the gang stalking is about. Because you were in a rural area, a isolated area, and you didn't have that. That's because no one was there to accelerate it. No one was there to pinpoint you. No one
Makes
was there
sense.
to get you to get hit. But once you got back into an area that had a population of or an environment of people, what happened? Your dude can't you can't ever block it. That's because they're always mapping you. They're always pinpointing you. They're always doing stuff. Because the thing is, they have to have these people participate to order for it to work properly. So when Lighthouse says that the system doesn't need that kind of stuff and it's not your neighbor because they had someone 12 feet deep in the ocean and the V2K was still working, yeah, the V2K works because it is a separate entity. It's not the same. You can't put the two together because the direct energy weapon and the V2K is separate, because the
I agree
V2K
100%.
the V2K and all my, and you know what, that might be what uh Lighthouse is right about. The satellites, when it hits you, that could possibly be the V2K, right? Could be that kind of stuff, right? But the direct energy weapon is not, is a separate weapon. It's not the same. It is sound and it is light and it is frequencies, but it's not the same.
Definitely not the same.
And they have to have these people do this stuff in order for it to properly work. And you can say whatever you want about that. I don't, when I tell you it's your neighbor, I'm not saying go to your neighbor and beat the shit out of them, right? What I'm saying to you, for your own input, for your own understanding, is that if it wasn't your neighbors, if it wasn't someone in your proximity, your severity of directed energy weapon would not be as prevalent as it is now. It would not be prevalent as it is now, because the thing is that if it wasn't for human interaction, it doesn't. And AI is a part of this. AI is a part of this, but believe me, AI, there is foot, there are people on the ground doing this stuff. They will do stuff to make sure that you can't eliminate it from you permanently, right? You can't alleviate yourself permanently because they're doing stuff around your environment to make it so. And you say that you live in a house that you could trust the people around and stuff like that. Okay, so your environment, I told you, it doesn't matter if it is a cup on your table, if it is your electronics, if it is, it doesn't matter. They have some way, and see, this is the technology stuff that it's way beyond my understanding of how they do it. All I know is the utility of it. They will hit that item, it will vibrate, rapidly vibrate, and at first it feels like it's drawing the energy into that thing, right? So once it starts drawing that into that item, you'll feel some sort of relief because it feels like some grounding effect. But once they change that molecular structure of that item, it will come back to you, and it will actually enforce whatever they're doing to you. They map out this. They have, that ladies talked about the ill box. The ill box. We'll call it ill bill, right? The ill box. The ill bill box. Your environment is ill boxed, and And so they will map, they have this whole area mapped out. They have every little molecule mapped out. See, we don't know the technology because I don't know the technology. And I don't even know if it's molecules. All I know is that it's something in your environment that they could alter to project it to you or away from you. And when I first was getting sensitized by this, I can only feel certain elements of this, and it's deceptive, and it's not very, it's very, it messes with your perception. But once I realized that they can target, single target any item in your house, any item in your environment to do exactly what they want, and that's when I realized that it's not just stuff that they spray in your room. It's not just something that they put in your room. It's everything that they have in your room. They do stuff to make it more prevalent. They do stuff to make it more utilized. Like, like look at your painting on your walls, right? I mean, I don't know. They could do stuff to accelerate all this stuff. You don't need to find them with a backpack with a weapon in it. All you know is that they have a cell phone and their own DNA. And it's stupid though, because whatever money they get, I'm surprised that they got like 10 years to live because they've been subjected to this environment. Because if you could actually see the 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 waves and see the frequencies going on, you would not be able to see in front of your face. You would not be able to even see your own hand, right? If you actually were able to see all these waves. And it's ridiculous to me. Like, you know what? The smear campaign, I don't really give a damn like what people think about me. I do not give a damn. I know who I am as a person. And I know that I've done some bad things, but nothing that I've done in my life ever warrants for what is happening to you, me, and stuff like that. And what really pisses me off, what really gets me going, is that there is people that I love tremendously that they've severely hurt, and they're not even aware that they've been hurt because of the freaking lies that's been told in this world and the lies that these people done. So like if they really want to work me up, they keep on messing with people I love. I guarantee you they'll work me up. And I'll tell you this, I'm not advocating for violence. I advocate for you to defend for yourself, right? Defend for yourself. Understand what it means to defend for yourself. Because the thing is that it's not necessarily, if they're going to do something lethal to you, then you have every right to defend yourself. I'm not saying to go do something crazy or to be violent. I am saying you can defend yourself. And
Oh,
whatever
you
that
can't.
means,
Yeah, you never let somebody just come and take you. Yeah.
and I'm not saying like, and when you defend yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean violence is what I'm talking about. But to defend yourself, yeah. Understand your environment, understand everything around you, understand that these fools playing pretend like they're not doing anything wrong. Understand that a smiling face doesn't mean shit. Nothing like that means shit. Like, you know what? Like if you ever seen me in my videos before, I was a little more passive, a little more soft. I am not. I'm more aggressive. I'm a little more pissed off because I'm mad now. And doesn't mean I advocate for stuff, but it does mean like I don't know, like I trust God. I trust his sovereignty. I trust that he knows everything that's going on, and that if it's his will, then tomorrow I'll be here. The next day I'll be here. Whenever his desire is for me, that's what his purpose will be, and that's what I'm here for doing. But you know what? If you don't think I'm going to defend myself, if you think I'm going to play friendly with these people that are freaking messing with me, you're absolutely wrong. Like they're freaking lucky. They're freaking lucky that they didn't meet me 20 years ago, because I guarantee you, 20 years ago, they would have not even talked to me very much. It would have been very frightful, very frightful for what I was going to do, because they don't even know. Like these people, I'm from a different state, right? They don't even know. They don't even know. Like I'm from a different state. And the reason I'm from a different state, because I used to be a gangbanger and I used to have power. I used to tell people to go do something, they would go do it. If I told them not to walk one lane and they went to the other lane, right? People knew. And it wasn't because I like shot up people or stabbed people, but I could beat the fuck out of people for sure. And I had the authority to do so. And so, like, you know what? They're very lucky that I'm not that man. Because you know what? That is something that is a testimony to God. And I'm sorry, like, people have never really heard me cuss, stuff like that. And I normally don't. But you know
Makes
what?
you angry.
That right there, let me tell you, like that right there is testimony of God's existence. Because if they knew me, like if they knew me 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they would know messing around with me like this wouldn't do them any good. Because listen, my nickname used to be called like a local gringo, right? That's because I was crazy, not crazy psychosis, but crazy because if you tested me, I would do something. You cross my line, I would do something, right? So this whole thing is just giving me patience, right? This is a building block for me because really, like, this is not some sort of flex on who I used to be. This is who I am now, and basically, God is teaching me how to be patient because I don't have much patience whatsoever. I'm not this game that they're playing. I don't have patience for. I don't have patience for the PIG. I don't have patience for the fake medical community that's supposed to help us, but actually is hurting us. I don't have patience for my neighbors that are doing some nonsense. I don't have patience for my roommates that are playing some game like they're doing something that I don't know. Like they don't know that I know exactly where it's coming from. Like they don't know that every time they do something that they creep up that I don't know that it's going on. Like even if they don't linger along and they don't stay and I can't even catch them in the act, doesn't mean they didn't place something around me to make it so that I have some more acceleration. They don't know that I'm not aware of this stuff. They have to know. They have to know. Like, so yeah, I mean, this is I'm a little bit more rigid. I'm a little bit more upset. I pray to God that I will become more patient, and that I pray to God that He gives me self control, and that He keeps me grounded and just keeps me from because I don't have I, I don't have respect for certain things in this life right now, and I don't have those don't limit me from doing stuff. What limits me from doing stuff is yeah, go ahead.
That's my phone. But man, I appreciate your testimony. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm a little bit more passive now because I know they want to push me. So that's why I don't. That's why I say the same stuff I say about violence because I really don't think it's the answer. I really think, they know who you used to be. They're trying to push you to be who you used to be, and you're doing good.
Yeah,
Because you haven't went off yet. That's a sign God's with you, man. And I know what you're saying, and I'm very well aware of what you said and who you used to be by what you said, and that ain't nothing to play with. And I really appreciate the fact that you're able to be patient now and not be that person. I mean, that takes a long because they're pushing buttons left and right, and they push my buttons left and right all the time too. But and I was bitter for a long time, and I'm glad that when I was in that bitter mode that I didn't make the wrong decision because it could have hurt me in the end. And the reason I haven't tried what you were talking about
uh-huh.
on Amy's thing is because you have to put your set security on your browser off, and so I'm too scared to do that, and so I haven't tried that, so I can't verify that.
Well, yeah, and I will say like I'm telling you from my own experience, you cannot trust your electronic devices to defend you. The I mean, if it works, good, but it will probably be rerouted because I used to listen to frequencies on my app, right? Like those biometric or whatever called the bilateral, what are they called the frequencies, right? Um, that you would get on your app. Well,
Yeah,
so what you would hear that frequency, and of course that frequency would help you, but what they do is that they have a back door in that, and once they get in that back door, they'll introduce another sound in your frequency to offset what you're doing. So what they'll do is you'll have that consistent frequency, and if you don't notice that they just dropped another frequency in there, it will be very harmful because what you'll start to find out is that it's doing more work damage than it's good. And there isn't there they do there is no limitation, I don't believe, of how they can actually get to you or to access you, because if they can't access the physical part, like on my body, right, on the aspects of my body, they will use this chirping noise, and it's not natural. It sounds like a bird, but it's not. It's a chirping noise. So obviously they're trying to reroute or try to get whatever uh, 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 to access me again, because I use a chirping noise, and the noise, it probably has to do with not just the acceleration of this weapon, but also to get your attention. And there has to be something to that whole fear thing, because once they have you focused on a new subject, a new thing, your mind, when you're mad, you start to null, and you start to actually dumb down, and you can't think correctly, and you can't think critically. So yes, I know this, that 20-year ago person would not benefit me in the long run. It would not benefit me in the long run. It would only temporarily relieve any sort of situation and maybe give me some sort of satisfaction of revenge. But the fact of the matter is, they've been doing a long game. You need to do a long game. And you having to do something that would cause some reaper consequences or actually make the situation worse, no matter how good or how well it made you feel, you may feel satisfied about hurting someone that's hurting you. It will not give you the relief you want, and it will not actually limit this because this is the thing is that I am mad, but I also know that if I don't think critically and if I don't rely on God, I'm gonna get caught up and nothing's gonna be done because I don't talk about this stuff just for my own benefit because I can't save you and I can't save nobody, but I know what God can, and I know that there's certain people that I love and that need me to be around for this moment in time. So me doing something that would have consequences of me going to jail would not benefit them, right? I don't have the fear of going to jail, but I do not think it would benefit them. Go ahead.
You know what else it would hurt? There's a lot of times I open up X and the first thing I see is a poem you wrote and it motivates me. And I think it motivates more people than you realize. So that's another thing it would hurt. It would take you off the scene of motivating people. See, just because people don't like your stuff or you don't see a like there, don't mean it don't motivate. I mean, I see your stuff. Some mornings I'll wake up and I'll open Twitter and I'll see a poem you wrote or something you've wrote, and I'm like, wow, it makes a lot of sense and it really helps me. So if they take you out of the picture, I won't have that little nugget, or people won't have that little nugget. You may not think nobody sees your stuff, but they do, man. I promise you, because I see it. I'm not
Okay,
on
so
X all the time, but man, there's been many mornings, and I'm not making this up. I've logged in and saw your stuff first thing. I'm like, wow, that really makes a lot of sense. That's beautifully written. And
uh,
and
thanks.
and if you went.
No, I appreciate that, David. And you know what? I'm not actually, I think I was trying to combat disinformation when I first started doing this stuff. But I actually, I really want to embrace people. I want these people to understand that people that are doing this, they do have to understand that there will be consequences of it, regardless if it's justice as far as legal terms. Consequences would be 10 years down the line, you're going to have something that you don't want and you're going to have some medical treatment because of it, right? You're going to have a heart something happen because you've been subjected to this and you willingly were subjected to this because you don't know is that I see these waves. They don't see these waves very often. I see these waves. And I don't know if it's because it's so hard or whatever. I've literally seen stuff wave, like a wave raining down on people, right? Like what you see outside when the weather is bad, raining down on people. You can't tell me when I see that that's not good for your health, that that's not having some ill impact on you because I mean, all this exposure doesn't help nobody at all, right? And you know what? Like I was bitter, and I'm very thankful. I have a friend that really grounds me, that really talks to me about God, because there's sometimes, yeah, there is sometimes I want that instant gratification. I want that like justice, that what do you call it? Vigilante justice, right? That vigilante justice, because I get angry, not just for my own circumstance, but I think about you. I think about people I see on X. I think about my kids. I think about my granddaughter. I think about all these people I love and all these people that are going to be subjected to this, regardless of if they like it or not, and are subjected to this, regardless if they know it or not. And that's what pisses me off. And the fact that these people that are doing this stuff to everyone around us is actually not are willingly harming people. They're not just psychologically messing with you. They're not just randomly taking a walk down your road just to mess with you psychologically. Every moment they do something to you is to do something harmful to you. And that is what I want to advocate. Not that uh, you should do something to them or that you should feel justified to doing something to them. Just understand that their motives are more devious than I ever thought they were. I mean, there has been some psychological stuff that really cracked me up. I remember this one time, the stupid couple came out of the grocery store. They had their infant in the grocery cart, right, where you set the kids at, and then they had their like older child in the infant seat in the infant stroller. I mean, some of that stuff's funny. They had one time two old guys get in an argument and say some nonsense stuff. I mean, some of it's funny, right? Some of it is funny, but then some of it, like, you know what? Mm-mm. once I found out they're doing more than just psychologically messing with me, and then they're actually trying to harm people, that's when I started getting pissed. Because when I got put in the hospital and I got put in the other hospital, their intentions were not good because they both got rid of my ID. They both got rid of my ID. Why would they get rid of my ID for both of them? And they done some nasty stuff to me there. Nasty stuff to me there that should not be done. What really pissed me off is those rooms were set up to the point where like it wasn't just me that was happening to. There's a lot of people that are not aware of this whole thing. I don't even have the luxury to know what we know that have been a victim to this. And because those rooms, the way they're set up for multiple people, and they use mental health to capture you. They use mental health to silence your voice. They use mental health as a weapon. It's not there to help you. If you have someone come up to you and they're trying to do some welfare check or they're trying to do some mental thing, you don't talk to them. You don't talk to them about nothing. You don't advocate for yourself. You don't talk about nothing about any of that stuff because you know what? They'll use it. And they try to they try to feed me full of stuff that they try to the stuff that tries to make you feel better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly making you feel better. But really what it was doing was accelerating this. There was a employee at one of the hospitals that was, oh, she would get so pissed off at me because she tried to feed me stuff and try to give me stuff. And one time, and I would just reject it. One time she threw it at me, right? Because I freaking said no, right? These people have no. In the last days, the love of many will grow cold, right? And I'm seeing that very much. The love of many have grown cold. They have their own desires. They have their own wants that precede other humanity. They precede other things, and you have to understand that we've been indoctrinated by this for such a long time. If it comes to music, if it comes to certain policies, they have been sensitizing people to do horrible things just from that aspect. I don't know about you. I talked about being a gang member, right? I'm gonna tell you right now, and people don't want to admit this sometimes, but you know what really influenced me to do that is to music. Music influenced me to do that. Do you know how many times I had done probably something stupid because I heard Snoop Dogg do something or say something, right? People don't want to admit that, right? People don't want to say like, "Oh, I was so influenced." But if you don't agree with me, just figure out
I
like
do.
do like a reflect, but do a reflection on your last 20 years. See how much stuff influenced you.
Tupac
I
really
remember,
influenced me to
I
do
remember a
some
time
stuff.
I used to play this game called Crackdown. You know that game called Crackdown?
Mm-mm.
On the Xbox 360. This is no joke. I was playing Crackdown, right? And you drive around and you take these ramps and you can jump off of them, right? You could
Mm-hmm.
like Dukes of Hazzard and all that stuff, right? I remember driving my car and I saw this ramp from like a truck. I was like, I'm gonna try that, right? I was thinking about like going on there, doing it, right? Of course I didn't, because I know the consequences of that, and I kind of understand more reality than that about being and stuff. But yeah, I mean, you get influenced all the time by stuff.
Definitely.
And that's just one aspect. Can you imagine if the frequency that's flowing in your head has some a neurological reaction to make you feel some sort of emotion? Of course, like no one is superhero, no one is a Superman, and
And
so
that's
yeah.
why you got these young people running around listening to rap. And I was influenced, Tupac,
Oh yeah,
I've done
Tupac
some
raised
stuff
me. Tupac
just,
raised me.
yeah.
I'm serious. When I was homeless and when I was 15 years old, I got a Sony CD player, right? And I got a Tupac CD. I put that in, and I used to only be able to sleep in my friend's house and during the day when their parents were gone, and then at night I would walk around all night listening to Tupac. Yeah, Tupac raised me, and it's kind of funny because yeah,
And when I
that
was bitter, listen to this, Jason. When I was bitter, you remember when that in that Tupac song he said, "Somebody got to explain why I ain't got shit."
right,
Like when I
right,
was
right.
bitter, walking around with nothing, V2K used to play that in my head, and I wanted to
Yeah.
act on it, and almost did, but I'm glad I didn't.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That the music will definitely influence you. So yeah, so yeah. I was mad, but I became like really mad and stuff after my hospital thing. After the sheriff's department uh, stole my SD card that had the evidence I had,
mm,
took away my knife and my axe. I was using that for because I was going to be homeless, right? I was only going to use that for stuff you would
protection.
have for when you're homeless, not to do anything nefarious with it. But they stole that stuff. And then when the hospital, when I watched that security guard hand my ID to the nurse, and then and tell him that I am going to be dead on arrival to my next destination, and she threw my ID away. Um, and then when she did that, and they were going to escort me to the other location, I asked for my ID and I explained what was happening. And see, that's the thing is that's how I know gang stalking actually became a tool.
Oh,
Was a
they
tool.
told you were going to be dead on the. They were telling somebody you were going to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was gonna. He
I
said I'm
believe
dead
that.
on
I
arrival.
went through something like that in Omaha, Nebraska. I believe you
Yeah.
100%.
But the thing is that how I found out that gang stalking was used as a weapon is because when I was in the hospital, uh, some nefarious stuff was happening, right? The weaponry stuff. But I figured out that our environment is a part of this. So I utilized some of the stuff in my environment to protect myself. And I had one of the security people who just, I mean, freak out on the phone like he's trying to find something, just desperately trying to find something on his phone, right? And he's looking at me, and he's looking at his phone, he's looking at me, he's looking at his phone, and he's like, how is this guy doing this? I mean, he's just laying on his bed, and they literally had looked in my bed 3 times for contraband, like I had something in my person to protect myself. You telling me that they're not a part of this? Once they start doing that, right? So they did that, right? And I mean, these people, like you have to question things. People have to question things. Why in the world do they have like military grade personnel at the hospital now? Why in the world do they have that? These dudes, they look like they're freaking ex-military, some sort of like special ops kind of thing, and they have policy procedure, by the way. This is a conduct of some sort that requires policy procedure, just so you know. And so yeah, I mean that's how that was my initial uh, uh, understanding. And then I went to the other hospital, and this old man that was my roommate, right? He was placing things in just peculiar ways, right? Lining them up, just lining them up. But everywhere he lined them up would either have a light source to it or an outlet to it, right? But if you saw the waves that I did, you could see this little pattern. So, right, like so there would be like this mesh of discolorization on the wall, right? It doesn't look like a big deal. It looks kind of like a patch up work for your wall or whatever. But what I don't know what, but see, the thing is, it doesn't have to be something special. It doesn't have to be some sort of military grade weaponry placed on your wall. It just has to be unique. It just has to have a sort of molecular, I don't know, whatever.
Molecular.
Yeah, yeah, a structure to it to make it unique so they can use it and bounce it off, because that's the information also, not only the neighbor being in my environment, but the pattern recognition and the placement of stuff, because my neighbor had a little like black square box, right? Kind of looked like some sort of like a solar panel, but it wasn't a solar panel. It was just black, sleek black. But the wave would hit that, right? It's like a little, it's kind of like a any kind of puzzle. If you ever did like a video game, right, and you had to do like the little light fixture puzzles where you had to like put the lights and reflect them in certain ways to get to the objective you wanted, right, to unlock a door, right? That's how it works, is that they have little pieces that reflect here and there to get to the objective you want. And if that's not bad enough, then you can use your environment to change the molecules to revert back to you. Everything they do has some sort of utility to it. And I'm tired of people understanding that when they go video camera their gang stalkers, or they get up close to them, they are actually being uh harmed at the same time. So go ahead.
I was going to ask you what your opinion is on what I shared about the guys in New Orleans. You know, they escaped and then they put their face in this AI computer system to find them no matter where they're at. And they found 2 of them and they showed where the camera locked onto them. And these people, when the camera found them, this stuff's so accurate. Just any kind of pixel of their face, it picked it up. Like they got their face covered and it showed them. And they now, do you think that's utilized in stalking? Because I was in 12 states in 6 months, and everywhere I went, as soon as they were on the plane with me, but no, they wasn't on the plane sometimes, but they had people. You know, it's just crazy. You go to 6 states, 12 states in 6 months, and everywhere you go, they're right there. You know, it may take
Oh,
them an hour, but they're there. Do you
yeah,
think
no,
facial recognition has something to do with this too?
I think everything has to do with this. So yeah, facial recognition, of course, I think so. I don't believe they need it though, because I remember one time I threw my cell phone away and they found me no matter what.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't matter if there was cameras or not. So, and I don't know, like I don't know, but I'm telling you, like whatever's going on is running through your veins. Because I do notice this is that when I'm really being hit, my veins are popping out really bad, right? Like like the Hulk or something like that. So yeah, and it just runs through your veins. So yeah, there's multiple ways. I'm not gonna like dismiss like anybody's idea about what is going on because right now everything's possible. And you know what, like this kind of stuff, it's mind-boggling. You don't comprehend how it actually works. Like you have a little gist of the utility of it, but you don't comprehend it because the fact of the matter is that it is it is not something that is publicly known as far as uh I don't know. I do know there is a lot of activity of gang stalkers in my environment. And these people that are doing this stuff, they have some understanding of it because they use it because I'm telling you, when they place something in a certain strategic area, if they utilize their phones, whatever, they have some sort of aspect of it. I don't believe they have full awareness of what's going on. I actually don't even believe they understand the consequences of this. They don't understand that this may be occurring to me, and it might be a money grab for them, but the longevity of this, they're not really thinking of the big plan. Because if anybody understands this more than anybody is the TIs, this is a long game. They've been working on you for a long time. They used you for a long time before they really decided to go overt and try to mess with you really big time. And maybe some of these people, they do this because they do know that if they don't want to be on the receiving end of this. But the fact is that they're only putting their only nail in their own coffin because they might be the popular kids on the block. They might be in the in crowd, but I guarantee you they'll be deleted as well as soon as their usefulness is gone. Guarantee you that. Like, and if they don't want to think about that, and if they think that they're Teflon and that it's not going to happen to them, they're fooling themselves. Because I'll tell you one thing is that uh the a lot of my stuff that I'm aware of is out of the Bible. Like the Bible tells you all this stuff. The deceiving hearts, the in the last days, love and many will grow cold. So much stuff. There is I don't know about you. Have you not noticed the days have gotten shorter? Right? I mean, it just feels like the days go by really
Oh
fast.
yeah.
I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, and if you want to go to like, we're not gonna talk about geopolitical stuff because of your YouTube channel, but if you look at the big picture of what's going on and that stuff, and you're a TI, you can't tell me that it doesn't look like a bunch of street theater on TV now. And there's a lot of nonsense going on TV. But you know what? They can be lulled all they want with their little devices. They can be lulled all they want with their sports on TV. They can be all lulled all they want from the money grab they get from stuff. They can be lulled all they want. And honestly, I would tell you this. Yes, there's times I want instant gratification for vengeance, but for the most part, I pray for these people. I mean, not always pray for these people. Like it takes me like choking up some bad tasting liver or something like that. But yeah, I try to pray for these people. And sometimes if I look into their eyes, because it's so easy to dehumanize people when they're harming you, it's so easy to look at them as the enemy and not looking at them human. It's so easy to just want to seek violence or do something because of what the level of harm they're doing to you. But if you actually look in their eyes, you see that human in them, you do want to pray for them. You do want to pray for them because they're. I mean, I had a moment where I wasn't looking at anybody. I wasn't thinking about anybody as human. I wasn't thinking of anybody as anything. But then I slowed down. God gave me the time to slow down. I looked in some of these eyes. I don't even care if they're bad people or not, because really, God said there is no good people in life. There is no good people, not one. So, I'm not, my judgment isn't in comparison about who I am as a person and my integrity or their integrity. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that they're still human. And when you look in their eyes, you can still see the same trauma that you've had. You can still see the same insecurities that you have. You can still see every single issue that you have, every love and desire that you wanted, everything that you wanted and cared for. These people that are doing this stuff have the same stuff. They might have their priorities messed up, and they might not think that this is a real consequence. Because you know what? Them doing this stuff it isn't direct. Like they're not physically seeing you do stuff. Like they're not physically hitting you or doing that stuff. And so it's kind of like probably like a video game, right? You play a video game, you go shoot a bunch of stuff, and it doesn't feel very much. It is distant. Like there is no sort of like someone physically trying to stab you or do something like that. It's distant. So they may not think of it the same, but that's the thing is that I was saying, like we've been desensitized for such a long time. My goodness, I remember I didn't have the integrity or the respect for women. I thought they were objective. I used to think of them as objects more than humans because of my influences when I was a kid about rap and stuff like that. And that you thought it was good to womanize people, all that kind of stuff. But no, no. I mean, the thing is that you do have to have some sort of compassion and understanding too. But you have to understand that that compassion and understanding has to come with knowledge. And the knowledge is that these people doing this stuff, they're not just psychologically messing with you, they're actually harming you at the same time. And and they're physically harming you. And you have to be cautious of that and be wary of that because you don't want to be paranoid. And you can document all you want about that stuff, but you gotta understand when you're standing right in front of them and you're doing that stuff, they're just pinging you along and they're pinpointing whatever location they're wanting to have on you, and then they're mapping you out, and then they're routing you. So you are going to be physically harmed by that, even if it is mental, because I do believe they target individuals with different motives. They target people with different desires, and depending on who you are and what you do, I think it depends on what they'll do. So, and I can recommend shielding and stuff like that, but that comes with consequences because once you figure it out, they'll start doing some nonsense with you. I guarantee you that.
Oh yeah, they're
So
gonna hit you different ways if once you shield. They
yeah,
also do what's called it's called nano tricks. So what they'll do is you'll find a shielding, and like say I get a Faraday hat and put it over my head. This ain't a Faraday hat. That was a cooling hat. This is a Faraday hat. And I
uh,
put it over my head, and it worked. And then they'll stop hitting me for a week and a half, and I go tell everybody buy this certain Faraday hat, and they'll do that to make you look so bad because a week and a half later they'll start hitting you, and then the
well, that's
Faraday
what.
hat didn't work, and you've done total. Now you look like a disinformation artist. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. They changed the molecular structure. It does work until they change it, and once they change it, then it doesn't, and it does the
Oh,
opposite.
okay.
So
So you don't
so
think it was a trick all along? Sometimes, like they stop
so
hitting you,
so
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 you go
it
tell
will.
everybody.
So yeah, so it'll work, and they may allow it to work, but then they could change the structure of it so it doesn't work. That's
Right.
what I'm trying to say. Because I'm told all the time about certain things, and the thing is that you the I'm gonna tell you this: the electrical part and cessation of this is basically static, and I don't know the scientific term, and people are gonna say, well, I'm not expert and stuff. Well, no, I'm not, but I am observant, and I do pay attention to my environment, and I kind of understand certain things. So, uh, the static, these meters out here, right? They don't filter out the dirty electricity no more. You do know that, right? They don't filter out the dirty electricity no more. So the dirty electricity is just run amok. That's what makes the feeling of the electrical surge and that electrical sensation is due to the static. So if you really want to shield, you have to figure out how to remove the dirty electricity in your environment. But that's not going to just work because you can't get a filter. If you get a filter that filters dirty electricity, and you buy it online, guarantee you they tampered with it and it's going to jack you up. My goodness, oh my goodness, I got a filter one time, right? And it worked for a little bit, and then it didn't work. But oh my goodness, that's not the bad part. The bad part is that I unplugged it and I put it in the back seat of my friend's car. I grabbed it, right? I grabbed it, but I grabbed it by the prongs. I mean, I felt like I just, I felt like I
It still
touched
had
on electric.
electricity in it.
Yeah, like I felt like I just touched the electric fence. I mean, it went to my body. Like, and so yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So you just gotta, the thing is uh, whatever is working for me now, it might not work for me again. And I noticed that through this whole time since November. Whatever's worked for me then hasn't worked for me now. And the only thing that I can attribute to this is that it's by God's grace. And these people know. Like when I was in the hospital and they were doing some nonsense, and see, you know what? They can lie about what they say. They can say whatever they want. They can lie with their mouths, but their body languages, they can't lie with that stuff. Like you can try to tell me all you want that you're not doing something or you're not doing something nefarious. But if your body is telling me something totally different and your actions are telling me something different, don't be getting me twisted. Don't get me twisted. Like I don't even mess around with that like stuff. I don't really care if you verbally tell me you're doing something or not. You're giving it away to me just automatically. You're just automatically giving it away to me. And this one, man, this one nurse, man, she just had this boggled eyes because I mean they literally, I don't know what their objective was. I can only assume, but it wasn't very good there, right? I remember them doing some nonsense to me. I got out of that room. I said, you know, by God's glory, I'm alive. Anything you do to me, any breath I take, it's God's glory. So these fools know because I don't know how much money they put on me to do what they do to me, right? I don't know, right? And I don't know how much money they put on anybody. And I'm not special by any means, but they know, like I'm sure that there is some frustrated parties in this group because they've been trying to do some nonsense to me. And I keep on telling them it's God's glory, it's God's glory. And it's not me being haughty or me being cocky or anything like that because I literally cannot do much on my own. I can't. And I've had really hit up hard and I've had some bad days, hopeless days, and I felt really horrible. But in God's grace, He's always helped me out. And believe me, you know, they try to sway you to think that it's your own thing. I've had one person that when they were doing some nonsense to me, they're all, it's the war of the minds, he says. It's the war of the minds because I figured something out. I figured something out while they're doing something. And he goes, and they just laughed. And he goes, "It's the war of the minds. It's the war of the minds." And I'm like, "No, no, it's you against God. Like, like you know, when He decides for me to die, I will die. But until then, you just gotta struggle doing what you're doing because some of these people have been putting on overtime with me. I'm telling you that they've been putting on overtime with me. So
I have one more question for you, Jason. And I remember
yeah,
Jason, he came a long way because I remember a few months ago, you're like, well, I'm not going to be here anymore after tomorrow. I've not tell people this. So, and so, I mean, I've conversated with you over the last couple of years and man, you've came a long way. I think we all have. And I think it's a growing process, like you said, with God. But I have one more question before we end this. In my opinion, I think they put these pseudo advocate, provocateurs in the community to insert real information and then put disinformation in there too. You know, spread both. That way you got everybody running around looking for answers. And then you're like, but wait, this is supposed to work like this, but then they said this too, and this is confused. You know, I think they inject, I
yeah,
think they put stuff, you know, they'll have a somebody telling real information and then maybe their mind controlling them to slip disinformation like the talking to angel stuff. And I'm not saying that's not possible. Um, but you know, you know what I'm saying? What is your opinion on that? These
oh
people,
yeah. I mean, it's not uncommon for people to be subverted. Just because we're TIs doesn't mean that what's going on, people aren't being subverted. If they're going to subvert most of society with the nonsense of propaganda that they use, of course they're going to put disinformation. This is a long game, and before the first TI ever admitted or said anything about this or gave a testimony, they already had the psyop on it. They already had the psychological stuff on it. Believe that, believe that. And if you think you can figure it out, good luck, good luck. I mean, your perception can be swayed easily. Like, hey, the best thing to do, the best thing to get to fight this stuff is to be humble and to not and to think that you know it all. Believe that you don't. I don't
right?
know it all, and you got to be open to be wrong. You got to open to change, but yeah, there has been subversion. There has been a lot of people that have been saying some stuff that just is true, but then they say some absolutely nonsense stuff that absolutely will throw you off because they're like, I don't know what to do. But I've noticed this: everyone is telling you what this is or what is being used. No one's telling you the utility of it, though. No one's telling you the mechanisms of certain stuff. They're not telling you that they can change the structure of your environment. They're not telling you they place things in your environment. They're not telling you that all kinds of stuff. They're just not telling you that stuff. They're so advocate. They're so in need to tell you that neighbors aren't doing this. For what reason? Is because the neighbors are a part of this. I don't know if it's because it's a desire for you not to do something stupid or for you to criminally do something. I mean, that's noble if that's the case. But if they're subverting you and saying that it's not your neighbors because they know it's your neighbors, because it's not paranoia, it's not some sort of weird thing. This is a long, I need to emphasize it is long range. It does work. Your V2K is different. But in order for them to continuously attack you without you finding a relief, without you finding a substantial way of shielding yourself, your neighbor, your roommate, your civilians around here, this instead of saying neighbor, you're the civilians that are participating in this, they are a part of it. They're a very important part of it because without them, I guarantee you, myself, I would have found a way to shield myself and I would have had a significant decrease in what was going on. And
So
when
let
I,
me. So when you say neighbors, you're not necessarily meaning the person next door. You're just meaning some people in the community, right?
no, I mean, you have to have some in proximity. You
Right.
have to have
Whether it's driving by,
yeah,
pulling in
yeah.
front of your house.
So if you're lucky enough to understand that have a good rapport with your neighbors and you can trust them and you know them for several years and you don't think that nothing could they can't be you know um, subjected to do something harmful to you, of course it's not your neighbors. For my incident, for my personal thing, yes, it is my neighbors. And the thing is that you use your phone for everything, right? You use your phone to find rental places. You use your phone to go to places like that. Your phone is compromised. So I'm not saying that every neighborhood you go to has somebody participating in it, but since your phone is compromised, they at least get these things set up. So you're already coming into a place you're going to rent a property from. It's already set up. You already got a few people already in line for them to do whatever they're doing. So on my situation, yes, my neighbors are definitely involved because I don't have my phone is compromised. My way of finding resources is compromised because of the access of using the online all the time. So when I go to a place, it feels like everyone is involved because I'm set up that way, because it doesn't matter my location. I'm set up that way. And I know that not everybody is involved because if it was, this wouldn't be a secret, right? This wouldn't be an issue. We wouldn't be going through what we're going through because they would have already completed with their task, and this would already be on a go, green light go. But no, yeah. So my stuff is compromised. So my neighbors, yes. My roommates, yes. Anybody I interact with that I don't know for a very long time, yes. Because my phone is compromised. Do I believe that every Tom, Dick, and Harry are involved? Absolutely don't. And that's what pisses me off the most. Is because these people here doing nonsense, knowing they're doing nonsense, not knowing the consequences of this later down on the road, and they're just looking at the short term thing. They're only looking at the short term gain. It's not going to do them any good longer later on in life. It's not. So you have to have empathy on that part. But you know what? If you you know, I wrote a thing about not being able to talk to my kids, right? Well, I was able to talk to my kids, right? They didn't take that away from me, right? I've done some mistakes in my life with my kids. Never abused my kids, right? Never abused my kids, nothing like that. And they know I love them, right? They know I love them. And if you actually show love to your kids and stuff like that, and they might subvert them for a while, but if down deep inside, my kids knew who I was, and I was able to talk to my kids. They're not going to be on my side about some things, right? And I don't really tell them too much about stuff, but I did get to talk to my kids. My daughter, I love her to death. I was grateful I was able to talk to her. My son, I love him to death. I got a granddaughter, and I get to talk to her sometimes, right? And I talk to my ex-wife. I talk to some people that I love, and they haven't been able to they've isolated me, of course, to some degree. But still, though, they didn't take away who I am, right? They didn't take away some years of me, right? So yeah, it seems like a negative conversation. It seems like a negative thing to say to your neighbor because it causes paranoia and it may cause fear in some people. And I don't want this to cause fear. What I want you to do is understand, because I don't necessarily believe, a person that is wise in their own eyes is a fool, right? And of course, the fear of God is the beginning of knowledge, right? But you have to understand, if you got to know the utility of this in order for you to be able to figure out a way to protect yourself. because you can deny it all you want because you want your feelings to feel the way it does. You want to feel secure. You want to feel like you're not paranoid. You want to feel not fearful. I suggest you pray because the truth doesn't care if you're fearful or not. It's still the truth, right? So when I say it's your neighbor, I'm not trying to cause a, a, a fear in people, and I'm not really trying to do anything like that. I'm trying to give you the knowledge to understand that once you know that, then you can start figuring out maybe some stuff for yourself about how to protect yourself. Because if you don't know what you don't know, then how are you going to do anything about it, right? So once you know that, then you start to work from that. And that's the whole process, is that if you stay humble, you understand that you are a novice in a lot of stuff and you have the same accessibility of being insecure and wrong and all that stuff, and your perception could be skewed. Knowing that can help you too. I mean, all this stuff can help you as long as you can be honest with yourself about stuff. I mean, as long as you're honest about stuff, you know, we don't have much luxury to have much feelings about stuff. I'm not saying to be a robot, but still, like if you get an emotional stuff, like when I get pissed off and I want to do some nonsense, that's when I get caught up the most. I mean, that's been probably my most consequences stuff is getting so pissed off about stuff and just acting on emotion. So, but knowing stuff, no matter how bad or good it is, will help you in the long run. And denying stuff, will only result in harm to yourself. And so, I'm not really trying to debate people either, because really, like, I'm not refuting what other people have said. I'm not saying that AI is not involved. I'm not saying that monitoring is not involved. I'm not saying anything that people are saying is true to their own heart, because honestly, like those two experts that they always talk about, everything I'm saying coincides with it. Like everything I'm saying coincides with it. Your desire, your feeling to your feeling of feeling secure, thinking it's not your neighbor, it's not going to help you if you don't understand that it is. So, uh,
And then I got one thing to say, and we'll end it. From my experience in all these interviews and TIs I've talked to, it's like every TI has their own experience, and they want it that way to keep us debating and all that. I know, if you say it's your neighbor, I believe it's your neighbor. Everybody has their own experience and knows what's going on with them. That's
yeah,
my not knows the physics. I'm just saying they know who it. If you tell me it's your, I believe it's your neighbor. Everybody's got their own experience. I'll never discredit what you say or say. I
well,
would never do that to any TI because I
I'm not
respect each
saying,
other's experience because everybody has different experiences. My stalking, I have different experiences. You have different experiences. This person, it's like nobody has the same experience, and then some people are getting tortured where they can't even get out of bed. Some people they let get out of bed. So it's like the person that can't get out of bed is looking at people who are able to get out of bed like, man, they're fake because they're not going through this. When really it's all one big thing to keep us confused and keep us separated.
yeah, well, I'm not saying anything that is any different from any other TI. Everyone gets gang stalked. I don't
Oh
care who
yeah.
you are.
I'm just
Everyone gets
saying
gang.
your experience might be different than mine, and mine, like
My
the
personal experience.
level of targeting.
Yeah, my personal experience, but the utility of what I'm talking about isn't
Oh yeah, I
different.
wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about personal experiences.
Yeah, personal experience. Yeah, yeah. I think it depends on a multitude of things. I think it depends on your personality. I think it depends on certain situations of maybe knowledge you have found out. It depends on all sorts of reasons. Of course, I believe the system itself is the same. I believe how they use it is the same. I do believe what you experience, what I experience, is different. I believe whatever symptoms we have is different, but the system is the same.
Oh yeah,
I don't
definitely.
care I don't care like what severity you have. I don't care if you think you have gang stalking or not. Someone somewhere has to be doing well, I don't know. If it's V2K and that's it, maybe you're not having too much gang stalking going on. But if it's a multitude of things that we've all complained about, then yes, there is that involved. Like uh human activity has to be happening with that.
Somewhere behind the scenes, definitely.
Has to be. And you know what? Like I do not you know I'm not trying to refute people. I'm just trying to tell people the utility of gang stalking. That people I'm not aware of people actually acknowledging and understanding that that is part of it. We've all accepted that this is psychological, and they harass us and they cause a lot of psychological stuff to us. But I don't think anybody's ever addressed the fact that their activity actually is doing harm to us because of what they're doing. And this is not some vigilante call out to go do some nonsense to gang stalkers because you know this. This is for you to protect yourself in some aspect, and for you to understand that nothing is taken for granted. Like, don't think anything that they do doesn't have some sort of like backup plan, right? You got strategic people here, right? You got people that strategize war and all that stuff. We're going against people that strategize war, analytics. We got a bunch of people that are professional analytics and AI and all that stuff that are far more superior in any capability that I'm aware of for myself, that are doing this stuff to us. So of course their game plan is on lock. So like don't get it wrong. Like believe me, like you look at the big picture and it's overwhelming. But if you have a grounded foundation, yeah, you have faith in God, then you feel a little more secure, a little more hopeful.
Oh yeah.
It's like Daniel and the three guys that went into the fire, whatever their name, their names probably.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you remember he said that you do not bow to me and everything. They accepted that even if God did not take him out of the fire, and it was death, right? They still accepted it and we're going to bow the knee. That's what you got to do. Like you're not going to be taken out of the fire, right? I just don't think that that's going to be the thing because God is sovereign and this system is huge. And it's so easy to get angry at him because you think he's not doing you right, or you think that this is not happening. Is not fair. But you do have to understand that people are really suffering, and I do not believe that I can. I'm not dismissing your pain or your suffering, and I'm not saying that this is a good thing whatsoever. But you do have to know that every individual is subjected to this, and the only benefit I could say for people that are like us is at least we're aware of of the the source of this. Some people are going through pain. Some people are going through some mental stuff. Some people are suffering, but they don't know where it's coming from. And they're trying to still seek help from people that really don't have their best interest at heart. And they're being so deceived and they're so much in the dark. And the fact that yes, and it may be even harder for us mentally to deal with this because we know the source, but be grateful because at least you have been put in the light, right? And at least you can
Right.
see. And that's what I think is beneficial. So anyway,
Well,
yeah,
I thank you for coming out, man. I highly respect you because I know you've shared your struggle with me. You've texted me in times of struggle and you've overcame. Thanks to God, the Most High. He
yeah,
gets all the credit, and I know you give him all the credit, and I do too. Any situation I've ever got out of has not been me anything to do with it. It's all the Most High, and I thank Him for that. But I'm going to end this conversation right now. And
yeah,
man, I really appreciate you coming and telling your experience and what you've learned from your experience and what's going on.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, David.